Good day, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Centuro, episode
Right.
6, I believe. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Welcome to our sort of weekly series where we jump into technology news and focus on a few articles and topics afterwards and just throw out our opinion in a very sort of informal and hopefully funnier and entertaining way, I guess. I think we'll just jump into a bit of rapid fire into the news. I've sort of set a few of these up with questions as well as just sharing them, though. But I don't know if you guys saw Elon Musk did an update recently on the Neuralink project. Don't know if you guys are familiar. It's where they insert the probes into your brain that can start to read signals, and you'll eventually be able to control technology with it and so forth. His whole thing is that the slowest part of technology is us. Trying to type on our fingers is a lot slower than we can think or perceive what we're trying to, the question we're trying to ask Google and whatnot. The slowest part is us typing in. It's that interface. So they're developing a link that will eventually allow you to be able to think it. It'll pick up on those thoughts, then translate that into an instruction and transmit it. So he just had a version. It looks like sort of a penny size, but it gets implanted into your skull, and then probes go into your brain, which can then read the signals. But they had it. They had a version of it in a pig. Living pig running around, and they could show that, as its snout was bumping into things, you could see the signals popping up and so forth.
So he wasn't searching for anything like, Trump, or whatever. He's not like where to find the latest find the latest trough or anything.
Yeah. They haven't translated the language yet, no. But they're showing they could prove the signals. I was almost just wondering, when do you guys think you start getting implants?
It's taken me 48 years to work on the filter between my brain and my mouth. Yeah. And now you're trying to circumvent that so that I can search stuff that I'm thinking. That is hell of a dangerous. That's all I'm saying.
That's a really good point, actually. What if you had an inappropriate thought and then all of a sudden it just popped up on your computer screen, thinking that's what you were looking for? It's a good point, actually.
Dangerous game.
Yeah, I take back my question of would you get it now? It just seems like a no.
No.
Yeah, it sounds like what you see in sci-fi movies where everyone's scared. The aliens are coming. They're going to probe us. Suddenly, we're probing ourselves.
Yeah.
Jumping ahead of it.
Now, can you just picture yourself chilling, watching Netflix on a smart TV? And I don't know who your fancy is. Jessica Biel rocks up on the screen, and you're going, whoa! And all of a sudden, the window opens next door, and what you're thinking is like, oh, didn't I see that image of her somewhere? It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna do a hard pass on that one. I'm just gonna do it. Woo! I'm out.
It should be an interesting time, actually. I know this is meant to be rapid fire and this is quite slow, but I had a talk from an investor a little while ago. He was the guy that created one of the first digital music selling platforms, sold it to Sony. Even this was I think in the 90s, early 2000s, for hundreds of millions. And he had a thing implanted in his chest that always told him where north was. That's all it did. But then he was saying he did an experiment where he then had the little thing taken out. It was like the size of a grain of rice or something. I think it vibrated, or basically he always knew when he was facing north. And he took it out for 2 weeks, and he started getting anxiety that he didn't have this extra bit of information, and it said it became like an extra sense to him. Biohacking's out there. I know. I'll speed through the next one. Some good news from Amazon. They're saying they've already added another 3,000 jobs this year to the UK, but they're expecting another 7,000 jobs by the end of the year, and that a lot of the temporary staff they're bringing in will be able to transition to permanent, which is quite nice because they have a couple more warehouses opening up. So some positive job creation, I guess, there, even in the corona times. The other one I thought was quite interesting is Uber's just announced that they're going to be able to let you rent a car via Uber now. So they've partnered with a rental option. You'll be able to open up the Uber app and see car rental and reserve a car, rent it for the day, and take your trips and so forth, and do it all from there. Which I thought, given that they're going through having a lot of issues at the moment with, I know over in the States, I think California, where they're trying to force them to have all of their drivers listed as employees of the company, which obviously completely changes their requirements for health insurance and so forth, and would be a massive cost. This seems like a smart way to diversify their offering. Do you guys think renting a car from Uber makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, especially in kind of the COVID world. So everyone's kind of more reluctant to take public transport. You might want a car temporarily, kind of opens up that whole market. So it helps broaden their offering.
But don't they already have those, the way you can have your app on the phone? There's a car just parked somewhere. If you need a car, I know in Europe there's places where you can find the closest car standing. Somehow it unlocks it. You get in, you drive wherever you want, and you've paid for that time. Zip car. That's it. I know that. I mean, I think the long-term play with Uber, isn't it, driverless cars eventually, so that you just call it up and do that. I must say that the original premise of Uber or one of the things, and I owned a fleet of Uber cars, by the way, for a couple of years, and I hated it. We had like 10 accidents in 1 year. I had one hijacking and one car was totally written off. But that's in a South African context, and where I didn't drive it myself. I had drivers driving my cars for me. I think Uber still works where someone drives to work, they're sitting in their office for the entire day. Can their car earn money for them while they're doing that, and just make sure it's back by 4 when I need it? I think that makes sense. I don't know all the shortfalls of it, but
that's what
would you trust someone
for, right? Yeah.
I think if there's,
would you feel comfortable just having your car?
I think if there's I don't know, they write insurance of it, then it could be. But because you think a car is such a bad investment anyway, it's such a depreciating asset. Is there a way of improving it? On this Uber thing, and I know we're still in rapid fire here, but they've also just announced that they're spending $800 million to assist their drivers to convert cars from gasoline to electric by 2025. So I don't know if that's just trying to get some positive press out there. Probably in the bigger scheme of Uber, $800 million, is that a lot? But they are at least thinking towards that and saying that they're spending on converting their cars to electric.
That makes me wonder how that benefits them. I don't know what the model is, but if the drivers own the car, are they just like, what's the long-term benefit for Uber if someone just converting to electric and then stop being an Uber driver? Like, I wonder how all that works. It's probably further into the model. I'll jump to the next one though. So what I thought was interesting, I'm sure other places are doing it as well, but France has just announced a $120 million stimulus package for digitization, and a lot of it's going into sort of startup investments, digital investment, infrastructure, and so forth, which I think has been one of the benefits of COVID, is forcing people to go digital. I'm even going through the visa process at the moment, and they've got on the website that they're trying to replace people that would have to come in for physical appointments with an app that can just verify your identity and verify the little bits of paperwork that normally you travel in, set an appointment, say, hand it to someone and say, hey, here's my birth certificate, here's my passport, here's my face, it matches. They're sort of now bringing out an app to try and deal with all of it. So it seems like a smart thing, and we've obviously been working with companies building their European presence and looking at where to do that post-Brexit. And a lot of the smart options start to look at like Estonia and so forth, who have, e-residents and can set up businesses and virtual offices online because they've got their digital identities. So I thought that was quite good. Do you guys see anything else sort of, I guess, coming up? Because I think a digital identity makes sense, that you can verify who you are quickly and online, especially with such facial recognition technology and so forth. But is there anything else you guys think is coming shortly from a digitization point of view?
Tough question. I think everything is kind of moving towards digital now, and the more that we can do online, the better for everybody. I mean, especially now, a lot of less people are kind of going out, working from home. The more you can simplify processes, the better. I'm just trying to think of anything specific.
One thing that makes me think of, and I think is back to the biohacking, is getting a chip put in your hand or something, and it has your identity in it, has your bank account details in it. So someone says, hey, pay £5 for your coffee or whatever it is goes boop. Similar to what we're doing with our phones at the moment, right? And or it's just like, hey, who are you? Let me scan your hand. It's got an RFID chip in it or something that has your identity. I suppose it then open to hacking and so forth, but that might be one of the future ways of just putting all that information into something that's part of you, and then you can't, I don't know.
I think one of
Until
the
someone
things you
chops
need
your
to,
finger off.
Yeah.
we also need to think of where the biggest stressors are in our lives. So you've mentioned the visa application. Now that's normally, if that's any government department around the world, you imagine yourself standing in queues and all of this type of thing. So you almost need to think, where are all the physical places I use a lot of paper? Where do I stand in queues? And then how do I then shorten that through digital? That's almost the way of doing it, versus going, what can I think of now as a clever digital thing? And then that's exactly what these smart entrepreneurs are doing. They're kind of going, there's a problem that needs solving. I just hate standing in the queue for my pizza. That's where it started, right? I hate standing in the queue for my pizza. What if I just ordered it online? So that's where it's going. I mean, obviously the one is queues at an airport, which is probably not a thing right now because there aren't that many queues at the airport. But how will those security check-ins and everything happen and diffuse the long queues down into the pre-check-ins and everything else? That's already quite digitized.
Yeah, they've got the smart gates and stuff now that scan your face to match your passport, which I think are a little bit quicker. I guess it'll just also speed up the process where they'll start scanning your face as you walk in, so you don't have to stand there for 10 seconds and let it they'll just be live as you're walking through the hallway, connecting you. Then by the time you get to the end, it's already got your face sorted. It just needs to connect the passport to it, and then boom, you'll walk straight through.
Do we want? So last week I had my first video call with someone that was in a self-driving car. So we were having one of these, and he was literally sitting back and zooming down the highway. And then I posted that on LinkedIn, and people started chatting. And someone said they went in Dubai. They went where they got served by a robot. There was no waiter. The robot comes there, kind of goes. I don't know if it was verbal or if it's on a screen. You can type what you want. I mean, what's happening now is that I'm trying to think. Sometimes when there's bad service at a restaurant, you wish, could I have just pre-ordered what I like and all of this? But it's starting to take away certain nuances of just sitting down and kicking back a little bit. Because the amazing thing is that the more and more digital we become, you would think we're getting more efficient and have more time on our hand, but we're getting busier. How's that possible? How's it possible that my cell phone is more powerful than the computer that took the guys to the moon, right? So how is it that I'm getting busier and busier and not less busy?
Well, that's the issue, and that's particularly happening now working from home as well. I think because technology does everything so quickly, you have more time to do more things, and there's so many things to do as well, and there's so many options because of the internet, your smartphone technology. I mean, if you think about, so speaking from a legal perspective, obviously I wasn't really around back then, but if you look at, around the 80s, 90s, computers are just kind of coming out. People were using typewriters to go physically to the library. You'd have to look up case law. You'd have to go do research. Now you press a button, you go on the database, you find your cases. It's done in half an hour. It might have taken a day before. So suddenly your workload goes up by 10 times just because you have the time to do it. And it just makes you so much better.
How's the bill not coming down, Mr. Lawyer? Because you guys you're doing everything at a snap of a button, but I don't see the costs coming down anyway. I mean, that's the genius of it all. But I do think, by the way, and it's probably not what you wanted to talk about, but I still think the legal profession is totally primed for disruption. I think someone's going to come in there and disrupt the hell out of it, because I just think that we've all been sitting around going, we accept all of this high billings per phone call that someone picks up. I honestly believe that the legal world is primed for a complete disruption where you're going to cut out a big portion of what you use lawyers for.
Yeah, I think so. I think you guys are right. There's a lot of interesting digitization stuff coming, which will be interesting to see. So just, I guess, a short one. Apple's new iPhone comes out next week, iPhone 12, fully virtual event. So they're jumping on that continuing bandwagon of making it there. So on the 15th, you guys iPhone users?
Yeah, I'm not actually. Don't hold it against me. I used to be. I was up there. I've got an iPad 1, and I think I was on iPad. I was iPhone 2, but I then moved away because I don't know. It just and I'm happy with my
You can't be working
Android.
fast then. You must be doing everything slowly, Sarah.
Yeah, exactly.
More control with an Android. Bring on the doctor for me. Keep the Apple away. So I saw. I've only got 2 left of this quick fire. So I saw a new platform launched, and it was basically the premise is business over text. It was a CRM system, track your sales and everything, but it's all about having the communication over text rather than email or call. And I find this something that's been coming up lately a lot as well. And what I quite find interesting, because we've done phase of like live chat, right, on a website, super helpful. You see they have a live chat, just quickly ask your question, get your answer, and that's sweet. The other thing I see more and more often, and it's not on mass scale yet, but more often, is someone having their WhatsApp available as well. So you feel like you can just send them, and it looks like a business WhatsApp rather than, it's not linked to an individual. It's still like info@business, call this number, or this is the WhatsApp. Do you guys think you would be interested in doing business over text messaging and like giving someone that sort of access to you to ask those small questions, to get the feedback? Because one of the arguments for it was obviously the open rate for text is ridiculous. Like millennials open a text within 90 seconds of receiving it. The percentage of the open rate is massive versus obviously emails. You get a 15% open rate on a marketing email, and yeah, great, good job, everybody. Like, what do you guys think about business over text?
So I've actually been doing that already. So I've got mixed feelings about it. So when somebody, because I've got my mobile number in my email signature, so occasionally someone will WhatsApp me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is, and it's a client or a potential client, and they're putting all these inquiries out. Then I'm caught. I'm like, oh no, need to think about this. Do I want to reply? They're going to see I'm online. I'd have read the message. There's all that. Like, and also I use WhatsApp primarily for personal use. I'm like, I don't really want clients just using me freely on there. But then at the same time, I've got other clients that I've already engaged with, and then there's a much faster response through WhatsApp, and it's much easier to message them that way. And then it works really well. So I think it's just a balance.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to meet our clients where they want to be met quite often. But it adds a different, doesn't it add a whole nother thing on what's your profile picture? And because have you ever done one of those where you're trying to talk business and then you look at because come on, all of us click on the profile picture and we want to see what did they put there. So you almost have to, you have to be a little bit more serious when it comes to that. But it does talk to that whole always on scenario. It's a real danger. It's a real danger. And I, as a father, I battle with it because you're trying to teach your little kids not to be on a screen and not play on that. But Daddy, you're always in your phone, right? But then I kind of go, yeah, but it's work, because now work is on my phone. It's not a computer thing anymore, because even our chat group on MS Teams is on there. It's pinging all the time. The discipline of switching off becomes far more important, and I think that we've seen that infiltrate into your lives, and I think if we don't then watch that, it's a real dangerous thing. Do you work from home or do you live at work is the question, and I think we're really starting to just always be working.
Yeah. I think there's some potential there. Maybe it needs its own platform rather than like a WhatsApp, and then you take away the can you see they're online, you take away the see that they've read it, so you have time to process, and that you take away that anxiety of, oh, Zane's read my message but he hasn't replied yet. So just take away the option of knowing that, And I guess it's similar to Slack and Teams, where we're just messaging, more instant messaging, but we know there might not be an immediate response. We kind of just send the message and let them go.
But I think internally is one thing. It's the external thing that kind of I still have a bit of an issue with it. I don't mind because I think I deal with some clients on WhatsApp, but I do find that internally I'm totally cool with WhatsApps and MST. But then I often question myself. I'm old school, right? I'm the fuddy-duddy of the bunch, not only amongst the three of us, but amongst a whole lot of people. Is that you think you're modern, and then the other one's going, "Oh man, Dad, like emails are so old school."
I think the separation is important as well, because if we message on Teams, which I've got it on my mobile, it's the same, instant messaging as well as on my computer. But then WhatsApp, you think, all right, that's for friends. Then Microsoft Teams is for work, even though it's the exact same process, same device, same everything. That separation can kind of be helpful there. So I mean, imagine going to a bar or like a restaurant bar. You have dinner with your parents one night. You go to the exact same place the next day. You're on a date. The very following day, you're there for an appraisal with your boss. It just becomes weird. Like you're in that setting, isn't for all those different things. Suddenly, whether we're working from home or we're using our phone for everything, you've got the social, you've got the friends, you've got the work, you've got your own personal stuff. It just kind of stacks up, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I guess the benefit for us as well with Teams is anything too serious goes to the email. And we're also not of the massive size that we're receiving, lots of HR updates and this sort of like the stuff we don't want. So normally if we're messaging on Teams, it's probably a question or like something valuable and quick to answer. So we're happy to do it. I think if you're in a scale of a, 100-person company or something, and the manager's got to send out just generic updates and so forth, then you want to shut that off. So yeah, it might be interesting to see on a scale. My last one before the main topic, if we get to that, Peloton have just released their new bike and treadmill, and they're banking on basically this culture at the moment of never going back to the gym, and it's become a bit of a thing of people going, all right, I've gone this long without the gym, I'm never going back. I've spent a bit of money, or I'll just invest in my home gym, and that'll save it. I actually fall within that camp as well. I cancelled my gym membership. It was on pause, and then just like, nah. I got myself a really good app that does lots of different programs. It's got meals. It's got sleep guidance, all this sort of stuff. It's got the workouts in there. So I was doing that from home. I'm like, I'll just do that for the next year. Paid for an annual subscription, cancelled my gym, and it was cheaper. A lot cheaper. So I was on the I'm never going back bandwagon. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you investing in a Peloton for the home, or excited to get back to the gym or get out and run? Or
I'm with you. I cancelled my gym membership as well. I had to pay an extra month's membership when they reopened because I only decided to cancel as they reopened. But yeah, I don't know about Peloton. I'm not really that active as it is. This lockdown's been tough. I was going to the gym a lot before, so maybe you can send me the details of this app you signed up.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll throw this in there. The treadmill is $2,500, and the bike is more expensive than that. So you're paying premium. So just to let you know if that's what
that helped me answer the question. Which is, going back to gym then. No, the thing is that maybe the two aren't the only options. So that's the outdoors has been the real thing. So this morning I went for a run, and I'm lucky to live close to the mountains, so we ran, and the views are amazing. The difficulty that it's almost so weird in that, I don't know, you drive to the gym, you spend more time driving to and back from the gym, whereas you could just exercise at home. Makes a lot of sense. I feel for the gyms though, I must admit, because they were actually getting it right when it comes to the mix or year we've got Virgin Active here, and it's kind of they were getting the mix right of what's at a gym. It became more of a club than a gym, and there's saunas and pools and everything else. But maybe it's one of those things where the whole shiny bit of I work from home might also be the same thing of I gym at home, but I actually need to just get out into another place. I think it might come back, but I just know I've got some mates of mine that work for the gyms, and they're really battling. I mean, you can imagine how much they must be bleeding on cash flow at the moment.
I think you're right. There'll be people who thrive off that as well. It's like, I can't work out at home because that's my personal space. I need that. Or they've got their mates at the gym or literally the equipment. I am in the process of trying to buy some weights because I've been doing a lot of body weight stuff and so forth. And we had one cheap set of weights, which got me through, but probably now need to invest in a set of weights if I'm going to keep working out from home. All right, well, that was super quick fire. Well, I hope we don't ever do a slow fire session. I had one more topic to take us into the bigger thing, and I thought we'd discuss Zoom fatigue. So obviously we're doing lots of this. I've got an hour-long meeting after this and a demo this afternoon. So I thought I'd run us through some of the cures online for Zoom fatigue and see what you guys' thoughts are, because I think we're kind of getting through that. Everything goes through waves of, we all got online and then everyone started loving it, and then all of a sudden booked in all these meetings. We've got to adapt to working from home, so like daily check-ins, frequently having team meetings and so forth, and we're probably coming out of that, if not already. So I thought I'll run through a few of the fatigue cures for you guys. So one is obvious, and some of these are fairly straightforward, but it's avoid multitasking. So that's one I've been trying to do lately. Apparently, because you've got to switch on different parts of your brain.
Sorry, what did you say? I was just on another screen. Oh, sorry, carry on.
You had me for a second. I was about to repeat myself. But because you're switching on different parts of the brain, you can lose about 40% of your productivity time by having to switch between the tasks, and then you sort of half-ass each of them. So that's been one. I don't know if you guys tab surfing while we're on calls and so forth, or if you find yourself fully focused.
It's up and down. I mean, if you look at my desktop screen, I always worry when I share my screen on calls. Yeah. I've got all the folders and whatnot, but I've got about 500 documents on my desktop screen. I've about 50 tabs. I've got Chrome open, Safari open, Firefox. There's just all sorts going on. And I think that's what's going on in my brain as well. 1 minute I'm doing this, then you're thinking about that, then it's that. It's just a bit crazy.
Yeah, I think focus is a biggie. I've also got two screens. I don't know if you guys have two screens, which is even more dangerous because you can have this open completely, but there's a whole nother screen with all my functionality. So I think it depends on the size of the team. Obviously, if you are in bigger seminars and things like that, but then you're still not focused. You're still not doing that. But I feel that's again a sign of the times, in that people are doing that on their cell phones under the desk in real meetings anyway. It really is it's just a heightened.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I lecture sometimes, and it's amazing how I used to be a student and I thought I could like send a message. It's so clear when you're lecturing and you're standing in front of a group. You can just see people just switch off in front of their computers. And the danger with that is, in the old days, you didn't have your laptop open in front of you in a lecture hall. Nowadays, everyone's taking notes on their things, and then it's even easier. And you can just see people switch off when they're not taking notes, but they're watching a video or they're kind of reading something. Yeah, I agree.
One of the further points was take notes on pen and paper. Helps with attention, helps with the focus. I guess to your point, if you're in a massive meeting, and that makes it very easy to switch off. There's 30 people, one person's talking. Sure, I'm going to play on my phone or look up something else. I guess that then becomes, did I need to be in that meeting? I think we're pretty lucky. We don't have a massive number, but I've got a friend, and she's constantly just feels like back-to-back meetings, and I think some of them are necessary and some of them aren't. So the other one is build in breaks. I saw one recommendation of just stop and lie on the floor for a bit, just to separate yourself. So I'm not actually super against it. I kind of like that separation. Go out and take a walk, which I think sometimes feels difficult when you're meant to be working. You feel like you have to be at your desk the whole 8 hours of the day other than your lunch break. But I think with the way things are, I think going out for 10 minutes to take a walk is better for you than trying to work through the full 8 hours non-stop at your computer.
Actually, on that point, so the Zoom feature where if it's the free version, it cuts off after 40 minutes. You've got to pay for more. It's almost like it should be the other way around. You should pay for that 40 minutes to increase productivity. Those meetings are going to be capped at that time.
Yeah, sorry, can't do anything. Zoom's cutting us off. See ya. That's it. Maybe you can pay for a feature that like interrupts you or something. But oh, sorry, I've got another call. Gotta go, guys. So the other one that's interesting is like there's a lot more mental fatigue from watching video, and so it's about hiding yourself in other people. So one of the examples was, you get 5 people on a call. The brain is going to analyze, and you're going to analyze all of those 5 people's background and so forth. So, I'm looking at Zane's painting, I'm looking at Siraj's poster, I'm looking at the chair. Like, you end up analyzing 5 environments rather than when you're normally face to face analyzing one, as well as then trying to track the body language and so forth more of all the different people. So you're doing a lot more sort of cognitive function as well. So one of the recommendations was have everybody agree to hide themselves unless they're speaking. So camera off, camera on, as well. And the other thing that we spend a lot of time doing is looking at ourselves in the call. So we spend so much time. So apparently people spend most of the time making sure they look okay, making sure the hair's all right, the background's okay, am I sitting up straight? And you don't normally do that unless you're in this situation. So you're just adding that extra thing. So I think there must be a setting. I haven't found it in Teams yet, but so you can turn off seeing yourself. So I'd still see you guys, but I just wouldn't be able to look at myself and just have to hope you'd let me know if my hair's out of place or I've got anything going on. The other one is switch to phone calls and emails if possible. But what it kind of ties into the other one of don't default to video. So this one's a little bit interesting because it said obviously we've gone through this phase of it's the exciting thing, and it seems like now the done thing to do is default to, hey, I'll send you a link to a video call. That's how we'll have our meeting. The article I read said, video can be quite invasive and personal. So for a first-time meeting, keep it to audio only. But I was almost of the opposite, thinking that meeting someone face-to-face creates more of a connection and helps you to understand someone more. And I'd almost go the other way and go just audio with you guys because I know what you look like. You know me. Like, let's just chat on the phone. Whereas in real life, in sales and so forth, people would always say meet someone face-to-face rather than have a phone call with them if you can. So I wonder what your guys' thoughts are on not defaulting to video. I guess it also, the other side of it is it puts the pressure on someone to make sure they're done up, look nice. They might be sitting there in their PJs and go, oh, Ben made me do a video call. All right, it's a bit stressful. But what are your guys' thoughts on defaulting to video?
I definitely I like video. I mean, I must admit, I think it's important to have that. I think it adds an extra. It gets you a bit closer to what that realism is versus if it wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point, actually. If you have a video call initially, so then you get to kind of see that person. I don't know how easy it is, but build up some sort of rapport. If it's a one-on-one conversation, it's easier than if it's a group video call. And then after that, you can resort to audio to kind of reduce that fatigue. Like you said, that's a good point. And it also depends how the video goes. I saw, I think early on in lockdown, maybe it was April, I'm not sure. Somebody tweeted a screenshot where they had a call with their boss and some of the team, and their boss accidentally put on a filter, which turned them into a potato, and she couldn't figure out how to turn the filter off. So the entire team call, she was sat there as a potato.
That's pretty good. I think that would have added to it, add a little bit of humor into the call. Maybe that should have been one of the points.
I was also listening to a podcast, Harvard Business Review, and they were talking about the fact that when you're doing sales, particularly good salespeople, they pick up nuances of the room that you're in, and also what they're finding is that on video you jump straight into the work part of it and less about chit chat. Okay, so there's less social kind of things on, especially first meetings and sales meetings. And they were saying really good salespeople walk in, they're scanning the room completely. They're seeing a picture of the guy's family. They see a little boy and a girl, and now they know. They go, oh, how old are your kids? What school are they at? All of a sudden they're connecting, and you lose all of that with video. Now you just hear. And they did an experiment where they did some negotiations, and they told half of the experiment group, do chit chat for 5 minutes where you just do social and find out everything else, and the other guys get straight to work. The the first group where you could do the 5 minutes of chatting, the sales were through the roof compared to directly in. So you can't lose that nuance of getting to know someone. Where are you? What is things? How's it going in your country? What's happening in your life? I think if you go straight into it, I'm here to tell you about this, I want to sell you, whatever. I think it starts becoming almost like a cold call, or those call centers that go, "Hi, Mr. Tofi, how are you?"
Yeah.
It's so there's a lot
British,
to
are
be
they?
said about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so as well. And I think a lot of valuable little cues, obviously. So in terms of building the rapport, it could just be when someone's talking. If I smile, they're gonna pick that up. They're not gonna pick that up in a call, but that creates a little bit of connection. And like if they were, it might not have been a hilarious laugh out loud joke that I'm making, but if they just said something a little bit and you give the smile, that just gives them positive affirmation, and then that'll create the connection. So I think you're right. I'd almost go video at start, and then if need be, like for us to quickly catch up for 20 minutes, just audio, or give me a call, and then we can, saves that mental thing of go, all right, I got to look presentable, I got to keep looking at the screen. The other last point was just make the office feel different. So it said even if you work in the same space you live and you don't have the benefit of having a separate office space in your house, make it feel different, whether that's like taking away the coffee mugs and stuff, or like it might even be slightly decorating the table differently, but make a disconnection between office and home life. So then once you do take a break, then you feel like you're properly taking a break and you can disconnect. I don't know how that one quite tied into the video fatigue. I think it might have just been overall meeting and work-life fatigue, but it was one of their points that I thought was interesting. You could almost have like different little things you pop up on the table and then hide them back away to make it feel like a separate thing. But yeah, those are the recommendations, I guess, for us to take on board if you're feeling tired of our video calls. Hopefully not tired of coffee with Centuro. I look forward to this each week, actually, so it's quite nice. But yeah, for any other ones, might be worth avoiding. I'm avoiding multitasking for sure. I've learned to stop doing that.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well, that was my week, my super quick fire, and a little bit of hopefully some value there in fatigue cures. Yeah, I guess that gets us done, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week.
See you next week.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys. Bye.